Without a doubt, the most common question people ask when they find out you live on your boat year-round in New England is, isn't it cold in the winter? Well, actually, temperature is one of the easier things to deal with. Not many people guess the biggest challenge to year-round liveaboard, particularly in a seasonal location. There's a hint. I'm told that Americans are identified anywhere in the world because they never go anywhere without a water bottle. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I definitely have a tendency to carry mine around more places than most. Anyway, we seem to have a fear of hydration or lack thereof. So, that brings me to my thought for today, which is, and this obviously will not be of much interest to those of you who are fortunate enough to have water makers and the ability to make fresh water directly on your boat. But there's the thing, the biggest challenge for much of the year, particularly in a place that freezes, is fresh water. How do I fill my water tanks? How do I get fresh water to drink, to wash? And in previous videos I've mentioned using salt water for a lot of chores, and that greatly extends the amount of time that I can go between water tank filling. On Charis I have 4 water tanks, and I'll do another video at some point to show the specifics of those. But there are 2 tanks that were originally installed in the bilge below the cabin sole, and 2 tanks that I've added. The original 2 tanks on the Pearsons of this generation were made of Monel, which is a great advantage. I don't think there's a better material to store drinking water in than Monel. Aluminum has advantages and disadvantages. Fiberglass, plastic, these are all materials commonly used. Each one has pros and cons, but I'm not aware of a material that I would choose over Monel. The problem is it's not used anymore because of the cost. It's essentially a high nickel content stainless steel. So anyway, 4 water tanks. Typically on Charis, my normal water use is in 3 weeks' time. I'll go through most of the 2 main water tanks, and that represents about 45 gallons of my capacity, the other 2 tanks being 15 gallons apiece. That puts me just a little below half. So after about 3 weeks, I will trundle into the dock. Now I'm talking about during the summer when the water is turned on the docks. The winter routine is completely separate, and we'll talk about that separately another time. So at that 3-week point, I'm looking for a nice calm morning, preferably when someone hasn't decided to leave their boat tied permanently to the end of the wash float at the club, and get in there, wash the boat down, fill all the water tanks, and fill a few extra buckets. Why the extra buckets, you might ask? Well, that is because water filling day is also in between laundry day. Now, main laundry day is when you do the towels and the sheets and all the big stuff. But in between, there's going to be that favorite pair of shorts or t-shirt or whatever that you just don't want to wait longer to put back in service. Maybe some hand towels and washcloths, things you want to freshen up. So on water fill day, we also have small laundry day. This is sort of a tradition that I started in the Caribbean, and it came to me that I really don't mind hand washing laundry. That's probably a strange thing to many in a generation that's never even heard of such a thing. Laundry and machines are synonymous, but not on Charis. And the truth is, I really don't mind a nice calm morning in the cockpit, good cup of coffee, maybe your favorite podcast or some music playing, and hand washing a few items of laundry to hang out on the lifelines and dry on a nice sunny day. So back to the original issue. Filling water tanks, you are going to have this chore if you don't have a water maker, and even if you do have a water maker, you're going to find yourself in places eventually where you don't want to run it in dirty water or a harbor, or for whatever reason, or the darn thing's broken down. And truth of the matter is, when you compress seawater to 800 psi, you're going to break down. One of the reasons I don't have a water maker is because I've fixed too many water makers on boats I've worked on, and it's just something I'm not willing to take on in my own personal life. And cruising in a place where fresh water is not that hard to get, I haven't prioritized it. So yeah, hand wash day, right? Well, this is probably something your grandmother did, maybe something you've never considered doing, or maybe something you do and you also don't mind. But it's a pretty simple thing. We fill a couple extra buckets, laundry detergent. I also like these bars of hand wash soap, which are a pretty basic soap that you can buy in most supermarkets. Fell's Naphtha is one. There's a few different versions of this, but they're very effective, and they're low fragrance. I personally have a low tolerance for perfumes and fragrances, and I do want to clean things. I do get oily and greasy, so I do need to be able to degrease and clean, but I prefer to do it without adding a lot of artificial fragrance. So it's a pretty straightforward process, and I won't bore you with it too much, but essentially you're throwing your stuff in, mashing it around. You got your rinse bucket full of water. Incidentally, the reason I do this on water filling day is because this is not coming out of my capacity. My storage capacity remains full. These extra few buckets that I fill are sort of a bonus on water fill day. And poof, just like that, bucket of clean laundry. And actually, I cheated. There's a little that I did earlier. So one of the parts about this that I really enjoy is kind of stirring the pot a little. In New England, particularly in places that are increasingly sort of highbrow and wealthy, laundry hanging from lifelines is, well, it's kind of looked down upon. Sort of like dropping a mobile home in the middle of Beverly Hills, I guess. So you'll find the launch goes by and people kind of stare drop-jawed and wonder what's going on, and frankly, I kind of enjoy that. I sort of like being the harbor redneck. All right, so the laundry's hung up and drying in the sun, and I'm reminded of my favorite boat laundry story. I was working on a sort of a high-end luxury passenger schooner in the Caribbean, and of course she had a giant water maker and really nice washer and dryer set up for the crew to use, but the washer started going on the fritz, and you had to basically run down and turn it back on about every 5 minutes to get a load of laundry done. It got to be a real nuisance, and it was just worn out, needed to be replaced. And the head office had been told about it and asked about it and nagged about it, and didn't seem that anybody could get them to move on replacing the washer. So there I was on board. I don't remember if I was mate or engineer on that trip, but it doesn't really matter. We found ourselves at anchor off a very expensive resort in North Sound, Virgin Gorda, and the crew were, as usual, complaining about the washing machine, and I finally decided to do something about it. So I had the crew gather up all of their laundry, clean, dirty, wet, dry, didn't matter. I said, just get all your laundry, bring it out. And while the passengers were all off on their day excursions, we strung this laundry throughout the rigging on this schooner. We festooned the boat with laundry. I mean, we just covered her from one end to the other. and then went out in the tender and snapped a bunch of pictures, and then took all the laundry down, of course, before anybody could see it. Well, I took those pictures and I emailed them to the head office, and I said, guys, about that new washing machine, don't worry about it. We got this covered. We don't need it. Well, that trip ended a couple of days later, and don't you know that waiting on the dock for us was a brand new washer and dryer. Seems that the point was well taken and the solution was not. But the office got the last laugh, because guess who got to disassemble, remove the old, and install the new washer and dryer? And let me tell you, they were some heavy. Anyway, sometimes you're too smart by half. Which is all to say that when you live aboard your boat, you think about things a little differently. You might do things a little differently, but you get things done. And today was about getting the laundry done, or at least a little of it.